I don't know where to start. For context, we live together in a flat situation. We got a kitten together at the start of the year. We've traveled Europe together, and we're even planning on visiting the bank this weekend to see how far away we are from being able to afford a house. I had a couple of hunches over the past month or so and noticed a notification pop up, which I checked, and it was full-on sexting with a workmate, detailing what they do to each other, her expressing disappointment she was coming home to me instead of him, and wishing they could just do it instead of talking about it. I only scrolled the phone for 10 to 15 seconds, took a few photos on my phone as proof, and confronted her immediately. She immediately broke down and was begging me to stay while I was packing my shit. I didn't really have anywhere to go and wasn't in a good space to drive, so I just slept on the couch overnight. I battled through a shift at work and came home and confronted her again. I made her call the guys so I could speak to him. He also has a partner, so I told him he has 24 hours to tell her before I do myself. I told her I want the room and the cat, and she can sort herself out. I haven't told too many people at this stage because our lives are so intertwined, it would feel like throwing her under the bus. I grilled her on the details, and it had been going on for a little over a month. They've kissed and groped each other on multiple occasions, both drunk and sober, and I assume sexted quite a bit. Noting I only scrolled the phone for 10 to 15 seconds, so I probably didn't even see the worst of it. She is beside herself and saying things like she knows nothing she will say can make it better, how sorry she is, that I gave her everything I wanted, but she managed to mess it up. She says she has no excuses, my feelings are valid, that she doesn't deserve it but wants me to stay. She wants to do everything to understand how it ended there and wants to fix things, etc., etc. She says she doesn't know why she did it. This took everyone I've told by surprise. She's always been sweet and loving, and my flatmates and friends can't believe she did it. I feel she's only sorry because she's been caught. Half an hour after I caught her, she was wishing she was elsewhere after all. It's been just over 24 hours, and I feel everything. I felt numb, betrayed, angry, and bitter. I never thought this would happen to us. It's taken me by surprise. I genuinely wish this was all a dream. I wish we could make things work, but I honestly don't see how it could. It's not like it was a one-off thing. I travel for work every so often, so I couldn't imagine going away and feeling secure, and I don't want to be that toxic guy who gets concerned every time they have a new friend or goes through her phone regularly, etc. It feels like I've wasted the past few years and everything we were building is in vain. She's still pretty beside herself and is staying in another room in the same house tonight, but we'll find somewhere else over the weekend. She seems desperate not to lose me, but I don't know how we would be able to make it back from here. If it was a one-time thing, absolutely, would give it a chance, but it hasn't been that. I'm pretty broken right now.
Update 1. Firstly, I just want to say thank you all for your support, advice, and kind words. I've cried multiple times reading all your comments. I see a lot of people wanting updates, so I will continue to update this post when I can. Right when my bed hit the pillow, I started weeping because the bed's emptiness felt so strange. First thing I did waking up this morning, too. Over the past few hours, I've felt pretty emotionally stable, maybe just numb for now. I saw my sister, who's a counselor, so it was great to talk to her about it. I've dusted off my uke for the first time in years for a small jam. I'm starting to journal. I've eaten a couple of slices of pizza in the short window my appetite allowed, so I'm taking the small wins as they come. I've just heard her sobbing down the hallway to stay at a friend's who has a room available for a few weeks. She messaged me this morning wanting to check in and that she's here to talk when I'm ready. She knows I'm hurting and she doesn't know how to approach this, but to let me know when I'm ready to talk, but no pressure. I noticed the guy who she cheated with has taken down all social media. I checked, it wasn't just me blocked, so unsure if it's a sign he's told his SO or not. This gives me a few days to sit on it and think about my next steps. A few comments on either side of the stick or twist spectrum that has stood out for me is the 3 rules of a cheater and learning about trickle truthing. Another comment by you/bitterhedgehog6211 will help shape my next conversation with her. I will say there are absolutely no guarantees and the relationship is likely pretty much over. But at the very bare minimum, for even the smallest chance of resolving things, I need the below. 1. To call the cheater's SO to verify she knows. 2, she needs to find a therapist that specializes in infidelity for weekly sessions. 3, she needs to start applying and to get a new job. 4, she needs to share a complete timeline of the affair. No lies or omissions, every sexual joke or at my expense, each time, date, and place they went one-on-one, or actions they did. I'll update you if it's trickle-treating. This proves more difficult for her as she deleted all the messages minutes after I showed them to her. She needs to read the book, How to Help Your Spouse Heal from Your Affair. I won't be waiting around for her to do these things, and we'll stay separate for the time being. Even after this, I don't think it would be enough, but at the very bare minimum, for even the smallest chance of resolving things, I need the below. Update 2. It's Sunday afternoon here, so I decided I was ready to talk so we could at least have some clarity heading into the week ahead. Talk lasted about an hour and a half, long story, but it's over, in case the next few paragraphs scare you. On Friday night, I had the flat to myself, so I put on the album Go Farther in Lightness by Gang of Youths. It was cathartic. It is lyrically the best album I've ever heard. There are some depressing songs, but there are some triumphant and beautiful songs on there. I was weeping, screaming into my pillow, dancing, etc. And the whole time I was imagining and wishing she was there to grieve with me the end of something that was pretty special. I told her that. I also recalled, I think, our third date when she opened up about her demons and struggles, and at the time I knew I wanted to accept her and support her and love her warts and all. I expected it to affect me, but not like this, and she didn't expect it to be like this either. I then mentioned the 3 rules of a cheater and led that I need to know if I need to get checked for STIs. And I know if they did something, they would use protection, but that doesn't completely eliminate the risk. She promised it was just kissing and groping, and she did concede that while it's been happening for a month, she probably crossed some invisible boundaries before then. She mentioned he had blocked her on everything. It seems like he's trying to cover it up. Unfortunately, I only know his partner's first name, which is a common name, and nothing else about her, and have no means of contacting her. Part of me wants to do everything I can to find her and tell her. I could lie to you and say because I believe it's the moral thing to do and she deserves to know, but in reality, I think I would be searching out of spite and revenge. If there's any ideas to find someone with a common first name, given I can't tell who her mutual friends are since he's deactivated everything, I'm all ears. She kept apologizing, and I told her that whenever she says sorry, it just sounds like she's only sorry for herself and having to face the consequences of her actions. I have it ingrained in my head that while my kitten and I were excitedly waiting on the stairs by the front door for her to come home, she sent a message saying she unfortunately wasn't walking through his door. She said she could never forgive herself for what she did to me and us, that it is the biggest mistake of her life and the worst thing to ever happen to her, and that it's self-inflicted, and she's had some of the worst things in life happen to her, which is jarring. I went over my 6 non-negotiables. I listed an update 1, added a 6th one, which was she needs to move out. I did frame it as no guarantees and that she could do all that and it still might not be enough anyway.
She didn't want to look for a new job. It's a job she feels underqualified for as it is and is a dream job/pay for her. So since she was unwilling to do that, I said that there's no future for us. She understands why it's a non-negotiable for me. I told her she needs to forgive herself because I won't ever forget, but I intend to forgive but not take her back when I can. I told her, you can't hate yourself into healing, to not isolate herself from her friends in our same group. They hate what she did but still love her as a person. She needs to stay alive, heal, and grow. She can't change what she's done, so needs to start fresh. I thanked her for the best time of my life up until Wednesday. She thanked me for helping her grow and always supporting and believing in her. I said, despite it all, I'm still rooting for her. I wished there was a way back from this, but there isn't. She made me promise I'll look after myself and our kitten and to call her if I ever needed anything. A lot of tears were shed together. We talked logistics around upcoming trips and events we had planned. She has a place to stay for a couple of weeks and will look for somewhere more permanent, and I gave her no rush to get the rest of her stuff out. She will coordinate through our flatmate when she has the means to move her things. She still wants to keep the sentimental gifts I got or made her. I told her she could visit Rocky once a week or fortnight and to coordinate with one of the flatmates so I could make alternative plans. The last thing she said was that she was sorry she wasn't strong enough to make things work. We hugged, she said it was hard to leave, and I said the same. And that was that. So now I'm alone in a room that feels too big for me, typing this out to all of you. I find closure is often a myth because you always end up wanting more and more, but this is the closest I can get. What's been keeping me going is the outpouring of support from my friends and family and from you all reading this, so thank you all. The other thing that keeps me going is that when one door closes, others open. I met so many amazing people and made so many great memories I wouldn't have experienced if my previous relationships didn't end. So, I'm officially single, and I'm not sure when my next update will be. It's going to be a hell of a struggle, but today is the beginning of the rest of my life. Update 3. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. I found his partner. We had 2 mutual friends, so asked them to contact her to accept my message request and follow request. I sent her through the screenshots, told her what I knew, and spoke to her on the phone for about 15 minutes. She was super disappointed. They were very close to buying a house together, so feels like she dodged a bullet. She couldn't believe it. She called him, and apparently what I told her lined up with what he said. She said she didn't want to be with a cheater, so I assume some difficult conversations for those two to face, but it's likely their relationship might also be a victim to the decisions my ex and him made. She's still processing and hasn't made a decision yet, which is completely fair. I was in the same boat. I told her happy to stay in touch if she needs to process anything or need any more details. It felt a bit vindicating that justice could happen, but I do feel bad for being the bearer of bad news.
After me and my ex's final talk where we agreed to end the relationship, we exchanged some messages. It was emotional. I thanked her for visiting, and we both acknowledged how tough it is without each other, but offered support if things became too much. She said she'll always want to talk and be there for me, even just as a quiet friend. She said she'd love to be in my company again one day in any form. We agreed to a bit of space, but agreed I'd message her on Sunday to discuss some more logistics. I might stay at my parents' while they're away so she can see the flatmates or cat for a couple days. Don't worry, my ChatGPT therapist told me off for this conversation, so don't pile on too much, lol. I felt calm after that, and my anger and resentment towards her sort of dissipated. Heck, I was even considering the option of couples therapy. But I got a good reminder. Reconciliation requires sacrifice, not just apologies. There's a pretty clear boundary in place that she's not willing to meet, her job. And I guess now's a litmus test for my ex. Will she prioritize trying to grow and heal? Is she truly remorseful? Or will her and her workmate crack on now that there's one less barrier and nothing to lose? As a personal update, I'm still journaling and trying to read more, so any books, preferably nonfiction, that anyone suggests, I'll add to the list. I had my first day at work since the weekend. I told my boss and a workmate or two who was super supportive and encouraging me to put my well-being first. I reached out to a therapist. Right now, ChatGPT and Friends is a pretty cheap option compared to $150 an hour, so I'm mulling over that. Thank you again to all of you. I'm assuming this is my last update, and now it's just a long journey of healing for me ahead. This thread and your comments have been cathartic to me. If you are ever going through thread, I implore you to listen to Go Farther in Lightness by Gang of Youths, from start to finish, and let me know your thoughts. Stay alive, everybody.